Talk a little bit about the role of bourbon on Yellowstone.
I mean, usually when I'm with John Dutton, he'll bring out, a little bit of bourbon and give Rip a little taste, and it's always nice when we have those moments to sit and just sip on it for a minute and have real conversation about life. So I love that. Bourbon's always kind of been that kind of narrative or connector for us.
The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by 291 Colorado Whiskey, by Michter's, and by Heaven Hill Brands.
And joining me here on the Fred Minnick Show, Cole Hauser. What's up, man?
See you, Fred.
Good to see you. Yeah, we got a little whiskey here to drink. I thought we'd start with some old Rip Van Winkle. When you see Rip on this bottle, do you get a little heart connection there to it?
Yeah, man. I mean, I actually thought that they did that bottle for me.
So we're here in Naples, Florida. Got a little event cooking. Just saw a bunch of folks in a meet and greet with you.
Yeah.
You do a lot of those these days.
I mean, I've done a few lately. It's good to get out and kind of meet, your fans and say hello and let them know that you appreciate them. So I try to do that.
You could tell they were so appreciative.
Yeah.
They were so excited to see you. You also brought your family out. That was cool.
Yeah. So
you brought your mom to Houston.
Yep.
Now,
I'm trying to fit in family with, business, which has been good.
That's so
awesome. As you get older, you start to realize that you can do that. So.
And your mom is the one kind of integrated you in the ranch life and teaching you how to ride and everything.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's got to feel good to bring her into this world.
No, she loves it too. I mean, listen, she's getting older and, every minute counts with her. I mean, we've gone through a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm just lucky to have her in my life still.
Well, we're in season 5 of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And, it's going off. Well, I don't want to. You can never say Yellowstone is going off like you expected. I don't think I saw Beth going to jail for someone trying to get up on you. That was
That's a Taylor Sheridan special, right there.
That was, boy, he can write.
I know. Obviously, the character didn't want to go to town, and she kind of convinced him, or forced him to, I should say. And I love the line. There's only 2 things that can happen when you have real cowboys and fake cowboys. You're going to fight.
Yes, right. That's accurate.
Yeah.
I grew up in Oklahoma. I was in the rodeo circuit in high school, and we called them drugstore cowboys.
Yep.
I've been far removed from that cowboy life. Don't go anywhere near it since I got kicked, bit, bucked off, shoulder hurt, hip hurt. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
It's a hard life.
It's a rough life.
It's a
painful life.
And you still, you never got away from riding. You kept up with it. But even now, when you go back and you get back in the groove for the show, do you still feel some new muscles getting worked in?
Yeah, it's like skiing or anything. It's all new muscles. It takes about a week, and then, really you got to power through the pain. But in the end, it's it's one of those things where when you get back in the saddle and you start to actually go through kind of the shit that you got to go through, early on, especially as I get older, you don't bounce back as quick. So for me personally, it's, you go through that pain and then it's like game on. And the horse is, he's going through the same stuff because he's being worked. My horse Dude right now, he's in Texas, in Weatherford, sitting on a ranch eating, getting fat. So, he's going to go back to work in March, and just like me, he's going to go through some issues.
Well, we're all getting older, but the one thing that we've seen on the show is how important bourbon is to the show. And there was the introduction of a 12-year-old this year. Talk a little bit about the role of bourbon on Yellowstone.
I mean, usually when I'm with John Dutton, he'll bring out, a little bit of bourbon and give Rip a little taste, and it's always nice when we have those moments to sit and just sip on it for a minute and have real conversation about life. So I love that. Bourbon's always kind of been that kind of narrative or connector for us.
Bourbon has been used as a literary tool in shows like movies like The Hustler.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was used in Justified.
Yep.
It was used in Boardwalk Empire. What do you see, like, how important is bourbon to the bunkhouse, to outside the bunkhouse? How important is it to Yellowstone?
I mean, I wouldn't say the bunkhouse. I would say, like, for me personally, it's really about John and I, and hey, man, pour me one of those. Or he comes in and goes, hey, Rip, let's sit and talk, and it's always been that. I mean, as far as, the cowboy lifestyle, or just a gentleman's lifestyle, I like to call it, whether it's being from Ireland or Scotland or America, you sit down and you sit on the porch and you look out and maybe you have a cigar, maybe you have a cigarette, a dip, whatever that vice that you love, and you sit there and you talk. You talk about life, you talk about the problems, talk about family, talk about whatever it is that comes to your mind.
Now, are you all drinking bourbon on the set, or are you drinking iced tea?
No, unfortunately, no.
It's iced tea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to sneak a couple in there, but they don't like it.
Yeah, they tend
like,
to.
No. Usually the first AD's like, God damn it, Cole. And I'm like, but it's almost like being a school kid. They take it away. They don't get too pissed off.
Yeah. But you are a bourbon fan. We've had bourbon together before, and what's your normal go-to?
I'm trying to get into more, like of the new stuff that's coming out. I mean, obviously, to me, bourbon, I've been more of an Irish whiskey drinker, whether it's Bushmills, or John Powers, Patty's. I mean, I was always an Irish whiskey guy, but, Knob Creek has been one that I've always gone to. Pappy's a new one for me. I mean, I could never afford this shit when I was younger, so, it's nice to kind of, try this. This is actually, it's got a little bit of spark to it, man, and I'm interested in this deal.
So
here, but
I poured this for you earlier.
Yeah.
I broke the glass, so that's why I didn't have the glass ready for you.
Oh, really?
So we have to chunk what's in the glass.
Let's kind of throw that out, and let's try this deal here, because this is actually interesting. Give you a little touch.
Oh, thank you there. Thank you. Yeah, this is the rye whiskey.
Yeah.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, friend. The little old Irish toast is, I hope you're in heaven half hour before the devil knows you're dead.
Never heard that.
I like that. It's kind of a smooth back end to it, It doesn't have that same bite. Kind of like scotches. Scotches kind of have a little bit more of a bite.
You like rye?
Irish.
You like rye whiskeys?
I do, yeah.
So the rye whiskey market was originally, like, in the U.S., was like really focused on Pennsylvania and Maryland, and then after Prohibition, it slowly dissipated, and it's kind of making a return. But rye whiskey kind of fell out of fashion for the American consumer in a big way. And Indiana was a big distillery making rye whiskey for blends for the Seagram's products, and that's what that is. It was originally that distillery was making blends, but I imagine though, like back in the day, having a little bit of this on the set, get you ready for a little Days of Confused.
Hey, listen, no. This is what you need when it's real cold in Montana. You know what I mean? You just need a little flask of this to take a little nip and kind of warm the bones,
You do feel it.
Yeah.
It ain't cold here.
No, I mean, this is Florida. We should be drinking something with ice in it. But,
I know.
The thing is that if we're up in Kentucky right now, I know it's cold. Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. This right here will warm the blood.
My God.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, my
Cheers,
friend. So you had such an amazing career, but you had one of the most frightening lines in the history of cinema for me personally. And that's when you were about to spank some asses on Days of Confused, because I was a pledge when that came out, and they would like broadcast that.
Yeah.
And you were like haunting us as pledges about us about to get our asses whipped. What a moment for a cinema right there. Like, come on, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, your voice hasn't changed though. Your voice hasn't changed
a little bit, but yeah.
I mean, for the novice here, it really hasn't changed.
Listen, I mean, that film, obviously Rick Linklater and the cast of that film, and what it's become, and it's amazing, that character to me. I mean, not knowing it at the time at 17 years old, what it would kind of transcend. And I think a lot of people, they go like young Rip, who's Benny, and now looking at Yellowstone. And it's interesting how there's been 32 years almost in between it. So,
well, I don't think that gives you credit as an actor. I don't think that's fair to you to only think of you as Rip. I mean, you just did a film with Morgan Freeman, and I think you've always been an incredible actor. You've played soldiers before.
Yeah.
I'm former military.
Yeah.
And anytime I see someone playing a soldier, I focus on how they move, and you moved like a real soldier.
Well, I put in the work, I mean, I've rolled around with some of the best in the business, technical advisors, where it's Harry Humphreys or Sergeant E, Lieutenant Stokey. I mean, all these guys it's been a gift to be around them and be trained by them and to understand their mentality and all the things that go into that.
Is that how you prepare for a role? You get the right people around you?
Always.
How did you prepare for Rip?
There's a lot of people that help me. Some they don't know, some they do know, but it's a conglomerate of great, human beings. But ultimately, it came down to Taylor and I sitting around, a fire, having a few bourbons for no bullshit in Utah, and talking about our dreams, of the character. And he connected with them, and I did as well, obviously. And we just spent time talking about him and just ping-ponging ideas back and forth. And it was really, it was a special time. He had the time to do it, in Utah at the time, and the proof is in the pudding. We put a lot of work into that character.
Well, it shows. Everyone there does a splendid job.
Yeah.
It's a really, to me, the greatest TV show of all time is MASH. Not, Yellowstone starting to get in that conversation. MASH, The Wire, Breaking Bad.
The Wire's great.
I think you got to bring up Yellowstone now. It's in that conversation.
Listen, I mean, the numbers and the people, look, those things don't lie, and people love it. So I don't know about bringing it into the conversation, the greatest of all time, but, we're on our way to taking care of and educating, enlightening, and entertaining people.
Well, one thing I'll say to it is that when you look at the greatest shows of all time, they represent a culture or a people that often don't get credit.
Yeah.
The Western culture, I grew up around it.
Sure.
And I will say I got away from it. But what you all have done for the Western culture, and I had Clay Walker on, a great country music star on my show, talking about how much you all have meant to the Western culture. Mm-hmm. Do you all think about that while you're going before the camera, like how much you mean to a group of people?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I don't know. What's important to me, and it's always been important, is living in moments.
Yeah.
If you're looking too far ahead or you're living in the past, but the present is really everything. So as an actor, you always want to be present. And as a human being, I mean, it's kind of a philosophy that I've had, whether it's acting, whether it's in business, whether it's, personally meeting somebody, is make sure that you're in the present.
Right. Well, I've enjoyed all my time with you. It's been great. We're going to raise some money for tonight for charity.
Yeah. Special Operation Warrior Foundation.
By
Jay
God.
Hudmacher and everybody who's put that thing together. I mean, we're finally getting a little bit of attention, and I know it has a lot to do with Yellowstone and, the success of me and what's going on, but we're taking care of a lot of people and making sure that education is on the forefront for a lot of lost soldiers in the special operations. So.
And I served with some of them in Iraq. I served with a lot of 5th Group.
Yeah.
And they run on a different beat and tune than everyone else. They're different.
They are, and listen, ultimately, we need to make sure that those guys who are really different, who are going out and doing extraordinary things.
Exactly.
And putting themselves in really bad situations, that they're taken care of, meaning their families. And if they so perish, and, unfortunately, there's been a lot, in the last 12, 15 years, and I'm just so proud of what we've done. I mean, the organization has been here, and it's just climbing, with the awareness and also the money that we're raising for families. So it means a lot.
I mean, my hat's off to anyone who serves, but those in special forces, you know, they get the call before anybody even knows there's going to be a call.
Yeah.
And when I say they're different, it's that they run to places where the natural human intent
everybody's
is
running away from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're special people.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But-
this is my way of, you know, acknowledging them, and you know, I'm going to continue to do it until I'm dead. So
Absolutely. Well,
so let's cheers all of them.
absolutely.
And God bless America. Yeah.
God bless America, my friend.
Right.
Cheers.
Thanks, Fred.
Good seeing you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.